As Halloween approaches, you may find yourself wondering if spirits do indeed roam among us, as so many cultures believe. Our next guest says yes, sometimes they do, and he is uniquely gifted at communicating with them. Thomas John is an in-demand celebrity medium who hosts sold-out events around the world, and he joins us now. Welcome, Thomas. So great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us the story of how you first became aware of your gifts at the tender age of 4.
The first recollection I have is that my grandfather would visit me, who I never met, and he would visit me at night when I was playing. He would just make his presence known, and I would see him visually, and he would interact with me. And as I got older and around kids going to school and stuff, this would continue. Sometimes I would see spirits around people that I didn't even know, but I always have a recollection of seeing the spirit world. I don't have a time where I didn't see the spirit world. So.
It makes me think of that movie, The Sixth Sense, with the little boy. Is it similar?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I think that Hollywood, kind of drums it up a little bit.
Of course.
And sometimes it's more of a sense or kind of a knowingness, maybe not necessarily a seeing always.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think there is. Are
spirits around us all the time, or are they sometimes more of them than others?
Good question. They are around and aware of us at all times. It depends, first off, on how much we are aware of them, because we have, we may not know that they're around us.
Right.
I do think that there are times where they are a little bit more present, birthdays, anniversaries, special events, where it just draws their energy closer.
Right. They're not more present, let's say, on Halloween or the Mexican Day of the Dead, for instance.
Well, I think because they do communicate with our thoughts a lot in our thought form. I think because a lot of people do focus on them around then and celebrate them, especially like you said, the Day of the Dead.
They respond to that.
They respond to that, yeah.
Interesting. So let's play a video of you actually, I guess, doing a reading. Is that what you call it? Okay, reading. Here we go.
Who's Molly? Somebody's very close friend coming through. And she's telling me that she passed very, very suddenly. She never saw this coming. Was there a head injury? Okay, because I get a lot of pain actually in the back of my head and my neck and things like that. I want you to know I actually don't feel that her body was in a lot of physical pain, if at all, because it almost is like, it happened so quickly that pain didn't register for her. So she just wants people to know that.
It's amazing. It's clear that what you do touches people very deeply. Is that part of why you think spirits choose to speak through you? What is it that they want you to communicate? Well,
they want to really have a voice in the spirit world, and I mean, in the physical world. And I always tell people that it's kind of like a joke I say, but I always say that even though people, pay for their readings, I work for the dead people, actually.
Right.
Because I'm really their voice and their way of communicating, and their way of having a stake in things and stuff. And so really their main message, I think, is it's always some version of wanting to connect with us, wanting to send love, wanting people to know that they are still around in some form. They know about things that have happened since they've died, bringing closure, bringing answers. In that tape you just played, I mean, that woman had lost her close friend and had lots of questions about her passing. She had died young, and there was a lot of strange circumstances of how she had passed. And so for that woman, it was very comforting for her, especially because I think she was kind of skeptical, didn't really believe in this type of stuff at first.
Do the police ever use your services for criminal investigations?
I have worked with them. It's something that, in all honesty, I wish that maybe they were sometimes a little bit more open to. I think there's been certain experiences that maybe they've had in certain places where, maybe they've worked with the wrong types or something. So I think it's something that people could do more of.
Right.
I actually do work with an organization that's all volunteer, that's run by a guy that is focused on finding missing people, and we all donate our time, a bunch of psychics. It's called Find Me, and I work with them quite a bit.
That's
and
great.
Stuff. So I think it's definitely something that could be done more of, yeah.
And you have a very concrete academic background. You've studied psychology and human development at Ivy League universities. Do you consider what you do a science?
I think that it's definitely something that lends itself to that. I think that there's challenges with maybe testing it, but there has been a lot of research. Professor Gary Schwartz, who is at the University of Arizona, he's done a lot of the afterlife experiments and looked at seeing about mediums in controlled settings and stuff. And I think it's something that You know, some people in the spiritual field sometimes get uncomfortable with, like, when you start talking about testing and science, but I think it's something really good. I think it's something that could really push the frontier.
Absolutely. And so how would you respond to, to critics and skeptics who say, we've had mediums throughout time, but it's mostly a show?
You know, I would say that, to me, skeptic means not knowing,
Right.
and if you're to say that a skeptic means not knowing all the answers, I would consider myself a skeptic because I don't know all the answers.
Right.
I don't really understand how it totally works. I don't really get the whole process and mechanism, but I do know that it does. And so I would tell people that there is a difference between being a skeptic and a cynic. I think that, if you're like, well, I don't really know, maybe. And then if you're more, just you don't believe flat out, I mean, I don't think it's something that I don't try to defend it. I just try to say this is what I do, and the right people gravitate to it.
Do you feel the energy of spirits everywhere? I mean, in other words, do you sometimes feel there is a spirit who is really trying to contact you to get in touch with a person that perhaps has not contacted you? Does that ever happen?
Yes, I mean, I write about this actually a little bit in my book, certain circumstances where a spirit sort of made themselves known, and somebody wasn't even expecting it, wasn't trying to see me for a reading. They
Right.
were in a store. I have had spirits pop in, coffee shops, places. Once on a date, actually.
Right, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
And you're never scared of them, right? Or are you sometimes a
Not
little
the dead
worried?
people.
Not the
living ones.
The living
Not
ones.
the dead ones. No, because it's never, I think because I just have always had this, that I truly don't know another way. So I can't, there's nothing I was ever, I think maybe if I was 16 and all of a sudden it started happening.
Right.
But since I was born with it, I just not scared by it.
I'm so curious what it is that you personally experience when a spirit is talking to you. Do you see something? Do you hear things? Do you feel something? What is it that you experience?
It can be all those. It can be a seeing, feeling, hearing, knowing. It's really whatever way the spirit feels, I will be able to pick up on them. Sometimes I will communicate with a spirit for a whole hour, and they won't really show me what they look like. What they look like when they were alive. They'll just show me images or things that might connect with them or things that they liked or a name or something like that.
Fascinating. Thomas John, what you do is so interesting. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us.
Thank you for having me.